Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 4 days out from the race. Yesterday, we got a great first run in the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris, and I focused that video mainly on the ride experience of the Edge here and how it differed from a lot of the other racing shoes on the market. And I did a left foot, right foot, shout out to Kieran and Sam. Those were the OGs of the one shoe on each foot test. I did a little comparison between the Edge and the Sky, the one jog, everybody knows the rules, but I didn't go super deep on all the differences in which one of these shoes is going to be best for different types of runners. And the reason I wanted to give a spotlight video to this comparison is because these shoes are extremely close in ride experience, much closer than Vaporfly Alphafly, much closer than SC Pacer and SC Elite. Now, I haven't run in the Pacer, but just on paper, knowing the stack differences, these shoes in terms of specs, in terms of the midsole technology, are really close. They're using the same foam. They both have a full-length carbon fiber plate. The main difference is going to be where the plate is placed in here, and then slight stack height differences, so the different drops and little geometry with the foam. So in this video today, I'm going to go through all of the technical differences between the Edge and the Sky here, and then main thing, I'm super excited for this one, I'm going to lace these both up and do 3 to 4 miles in each of them at different paces to let you know where the sweet spot is for each of them and which one of these you should pick if you are racing a marathon. Now, before we get into it today, I have done a horrible job at this recently, highlighting all the stuff we were doing at Supwell Running. So supwell.io, best place to find new running shoes. It's the company that I started. It's the reason why I started on YouTube. So if you want to support this channel, the main way that you can do that right now is by buying your new shoes through our links on Running Warehouse. Running Warehouse also has a 90-day return policy, so that's a benefit. So if you are buying new shoes, make sure to do it through our link. If you're looking for a new shoe, make sure to do the running shoe matcher on Supwell. You answer 5 questions, and it will match you with the shoe. Right now, that's the best way to support the channel. I'm going to be coming out with some other stuff soon because I don't love that the way you can support me other than watching the videos is by buying new shoes, because I don't want to be encouraging people to buy new shoes all the time. But I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. We are growing. We got some awesome shoes. We're going to get some miles in. 4 days out from the marathon, baby. Let's do it. All right, guys, we're inside so I can finish up my breakfast here. And I am on Running Warehouse because I want to read you the marketing copy. I do not always do this, but I think in the case of these products that are super close together or are confusing or are new to the market, it helps to read what the brands say. Look at that. This has 3.8 stars. That's not good, man. I don't think it's a 3.8 star shoe. But let's read the marketing copy for the Edge Paris. So the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris is an elite road racing shoe designed to propel runners forward by helping them increase their cadence for faster times in races from the 5K to marathon distance. And then what I really wanted to look at here, this is it. To maximize responsiveness further, the positioning of the carbon fiber plate is angled to increase propulsion and increase stride cadence to make running fast feel easy. So let's take a look at what they say about the Sky. All right, so we're now on the Sky page, and they say the Sky Paris elite road racing shoe made for extreme propulsion and efficiency over long distances. So they are positioning the Sky here as more of that legit marathon racing shoe, more of that long distance shoe. If you take a look at that Edge page again, let's see, 500 tabs open. That's not good. If you take a look at the Edge page, they had 5K to marathon in the copy here. So the way that these companies set up a lot of their products, New Balance has a short distance racer and a long distance racer. Adidas has Takumi Sen and Adios Pro 3. And now Asics is saying the Edge is more of that short distance shoe. But what's interesting though is that the stack is actually higher in the Edge, which was the confusing thing for me. So 39.5 and 34.5 in the Edge. And then in the Sky, it's a little bit lower at bada boom, bada bing. Oh no, in the Sky, they have 39.5 and 34.5. Okay. I could have sworn that Running Warehouse had different numbers listed here last week. I'm 95% certain they had different numbers listed here before. All right, guys, so you can see here on Running Warehouse. They measure all the stack and the specs independently. They have a heel stack of 37 and a forefoot stack of 32 for a 5mm drop, which is interesting that they have this one reported as under 40 millimeters in the heel, but you get 32 still in the forefoot, which is similar or even higher than some other racing shoes, which tend to be 40 in the heel or 39 in the heel, and then 32, 31 in the forefoot. And then one last difference here in the sky, it said engineered for stride style runners by directing the energy return in a vertical direction to enhance stride length when picking up the pace. So because we have the phone fired up here, let's look at the metrics. Because one of the issues that I have with the way that Asics is splitting out these products, or the way that they're purporting to split out these products, is that most runners increase both their stride length and their cadence when running faster. So let's look at my workout from yesterday here. This was the 3x1 mile workout. I was cruising at let's take a look at the splits. How do I get them? Here we go. Okay, so this is the laps, and then you can see distance. Okay, so first mile here, the time was a 7:27. Cadence was 1:69. Stride length was 4.17. Now, if we look at the first working rep here, I ran a 5:55. My cadence increased from a 1:69 to a 1:74. And then the stride length increased to 5.09. So both of them increased. So 169 to 174 for it. Let me do a calculator real quick. You know what? I have an MBA. I can just do this. So that's about a 20% increase in stride length and low single digit increase in cadence. So my question is, are we looking at percentage increase in cadence versus stride length? But I don't think most runners, their cadence is going to increase by 20%. That would be going from a 150 to a 190, roughly 150 to a 180. So with these numbers, if we're looking at the raw percentage, that means I'm more of a stride length runner. All right, let's take a look at my fastest mile here, 5:19. My cadence went up from a 169 to a 180, hitting that magic 180 number. And then my stride length was at a 5.41. So again, we see a pretty large increase in stride length from the last one. So 5.09 to 5.41. That's, I don't know, I can't calculate that one. Those are too close. Let me see. Maybe 5%? Or, that's a single digit percentage. And then the cadence is a lower single digit percentage. So raw percentages, looking at this here, I might be more of a stride length runner. I also consider myself more of a stride length runner. And if we think about the marketing copy that Asics had, they talked about powerful propulsion versus picking your feet up faster. And for me, when I'm running fast, I feel like I'm kicking a little bit harder and opening up that stride. So based on this, I should be more personally of a stride length runner, but the data isn't everything. It's more about feel. And that's why the main point of this video is getting both of these shoes on foot to run in them. All right, so I'm gonna finish my bagel and coffee, and then we're gonna go outside. I'll break down some of the differences in the shoes, and then we'll lace them up, take them for a run. All right, guys, overview of the Edge Paris and Sky Paris, breaking down the differences. I don't want to make this too long because the real difference is going to be how they ride. But let's take a look at the plate positioning here. So this is the Edge, which is purportedly designed for cadence-style runners who run faster by turning over their legs more. So you can see the plate here angles down. It follows, and let me pick this up so you can see the shadow a little bit better. But it follows the line of this bump out in the foam, angles down, and you get a little bit more stack above the plate. So more foam above the plate. And then this is the Sky. The plate is closer up to the foot, and you get more foam underneath the plate. So this is the shoe, the Sky, that's designed for runners who, I think I fall into this category, but run with a little bit more power. And so you get more foam underneath the plate to compress it. This is supposed to add more powerful propulsion, but the plate is going to be closer up to your foot, whereas this one with the more foam underneath your plate, and I ran in this yesterday, it felt a little bit more like that traditional max cushion shoe feeling where you're running on top of more foam. This guy feels a little bit more like that, what I want in a race shoe, where I get a little bit more of not necessarily ground feel, but control over the platform. Now, Asics has these both listed at the same stack height, so 39.5 here. in the heel, 34.5 in the forefoot for a 4mm drop. And let's take a look at the back here. Let's see if we can see any difference. So Edge, Sky, you guys let me know. Do you see any difference in the back of these platforms here? They look identical to me. I don't know if this is just a manufacturing flaw or variation. Maybe this heel collar looks a little different, but yeah, from the back here, these things look identical. Let's take a look from the front. So Sky is red rubber, Edge is black rubber. I don't see much of a difference from the front either. Now, from the top, there is a difference, and let's get some better contrast on here so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the Sky, and the foam bumps out a little more. It pushes out, it bulges out a little more at this point of the shoe in the Sky versus the Edge. It's more of a straight platform throughout. The Sky, it bumps out a little bit more. Now, I'm not exactly sure why that is, but you do get that flare and a little bit more width in the forefoot. With the Edge here, let's see. Yeah, Edge here, I felt more like I was getting that width in the midfoot, and the sweet spot for landing in the Edge was the midfoot here. Now, as I mentioned, these are two of the closest feeling race shoes out there, so it's going to be a little bit more helpful to compare them to something different so we can see the differences. So I also brought out the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 or Pro 4 here, which is my recommended race shoe for recreational runners. This thing is an absolute beast. So if we take a look at the Pro 4 versus, now I just pulled the Sky here, you can see Pro 4, we got a nice aggressive rocker geometry. This also uses PIBA, and I should mention the Edge and the Sky are both using PIBA. It's a new formulation in the FF Turbo Plus. This also uses PIBA, 40 millimeters, 30 or 39, 31 for an 8mm drop. Both of these shoes are lower drops. And key difference here is going to be, let's take a look at this. The Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 isn't even the most stable race shoe out there, but you can see how much more width we get in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 here. So that's going to give you a lot more stability out in the back. If I took the New Balance SC Elite V4 out here, that would be even wider. And then on the upper, let's take a look again here. Much lighter weight upper in the Sky here, both the Sky and the Edge, much lighter weight upper here. I also think we get a little bit more room in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. So that's an overview of the shoes. Let's do a weight comparison of the Sky and the Edge. I actually didn't do this yesterday. And then let's lace them up, take them for a run, see how they perform. All right, weighing the Edge first. Left shoe of the Edge, 195.5. Let's take a look at the right shoe of the Edge. Man, there's slugs all over the porch here. It's disgusting. All right, right shoe of the Edge, 196.3. So these guys are coming in at about 195, 196 in the Edge. And then the Sky, 195.6. Wow. And 192. So maybe the Sky is a little bit lighter, but maybe that's just a manufacturing variation to almost identical. So identical weight, identical upper, identical foam type. Only difference out here is going to be where that plate is placed, with the lower plate in the Edge and the higher plate in the Sky. And then one thing I did want to show you from yesterday, so we talked about the different variation of, or the different colors of the rubber. The other difference is where they do the strategically placed cutout in the rubber. So in the Sky, red rubber, you get the cutout in the forefoot. In the Edge, you get the cutout in the back. Now, I don't know if that means anything, but if it did mean something, I wonder if that would mean the Sky with the slightly more rubber in the back is better for heel strikers, and the Edge is better for forefoot strikers, more coverage in the front. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Does that mean anything, or is Asics just trying to be cute? So plan for the run, as I organize these shoes here. Plan for the run is going to be, I'm going to do a 1 mile warm-up in, not the Edge of the Sky, but I want to do a 1 mile warm-up in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 here to cleanse my palate, because I ran the Edge yesterday. And also so we have a standard point of comparison between these two shoes. So 1 mile warm-up in this guy, and then I will go to the Sky for 3 miles, and then the Edge for 3 miles. One last thing, so we have a point of comparison. The Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 coming in at 230. So you can see both the Edge and the Sky are significantly lighter than this guy. Then this guy, not the Sky. Alright guys, so as you can see, we have a new toy here, this GoPro. So I've been debating getting a GoPro and action cam, as some of you have recommended and suggested over the past few months. And then I talked about that during my interview on the podcast with Andrew, Midlife Runner. And one of my family members watched it and sent me an old GoPro that they had. Shout out Kevin. So we're going to be playing with a new toy today. I don't know how it's going to turn out. It could be cool. It could be horrible. That's one of the things I love about this channel. We get to experiment. We get to try new things. And I think hopefully it will add a little bit to the analysis here, because I will get to talk about it as we're running along. So talk about how the shoes are feeling while I'm wearing them, instead of just afterwards. And I'm probably not going to do this in every video. And I didn't bring it out yesterday because I don't like trying to talk and do stuff while I'm running super hard. But today, the plan is not to run super hard. So first mile is going to be in these guys. Nice warm up, probably between 7 and 8 minute pace. And then we'll roll through the paces, sky first, and then edge. Let's do it, baby. Testing, 1, 2, 3. I feel like Andrew out here, midlife runner with the GoPro. I don't know how this is gonna be, guys. This is super weird. Also, the audio is probably, I know, man, people used to complain about the audio so much. Audio is probably gonna be weird. So some of you guys might be sick of hearing me talk about the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, and wow, I'm going way too fast. This is what it's like to run with me in real life. What do you think? Yeah, as I try to ease into a nice warm-up pace, conversational pace. Some of you might be sick of hearing me talk about the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 so much, but this is really the standard bearer in the category. Zone 2. Oh, wow. So as you can see here, ripping out of the gate, it is making me want to run fast. Not as aggressive as the edge and the sky, but it's got a nice roll to it. It's got that soft bouncy foam. And I think for most runners' paces, it's gonna feel fast. Look at the blooms we have out here. So my one critique of this shoe is that it doesn't feel as special, as fast. It doesn't have that amazing magical quality that I look for in a racing shoe. But for the marathon, I think that's okay. What matters is comfort, protection, stability, and this shoe has all that. So this is the dreaded 70-foot hill that I have to climb to leave the neighborhood. I'm just gonna do it. All right, we got about 0.4 miles left. I climb this hill and then talk about the things I like and don't like about the Pro 4 compared to the other two. Man, I'm not gonna lie, this whole talking with the GoPro thing, way harder than it looks, way harder. All right, guys, first GoPro run. We got 1 mile warm up in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. I apologize retroactively for blowing up your Strava feeds this morning. Average 7:15 pace. Now, I don't know how much of that GoPro stuff I'm gonna keep in versus remove, because it could be absolutely terrible. I'll probably keep in some absolutely terrible stuff too. Thank you for sticking with us as we work through the building process. But the reason I love these shoes, the reason I brought them out, the reason that they're the standard bearer in the category is because they work well across a variety of paces, across a variety of foot strikes, unlike those two puppies right there. So a little bit more width, a little bit more stability, a little bit more support, a little bit more forgiving upper, And the foam here, perfect combination of soft and bouncy. So soft as in 1080, gel Nimbus, glycerin, you sink down in, and then bouncy from the carbon fiber plate, you get that nice snap off. So the only reason I've rolled these out, maybe they're not as aggressive as I want, they don't give me that special magic feeling that I want, but I ran a 2:55 marathon in training with these guys, so I don't know if I'm overthinking it, and I should just use these for my race. What do you think, guys? Should I just go for the Pro 4? Should I just go for what's comfortable and what's worked in the past? I don't know, but not as aggressive as I'd want for a fast marathon PR attempt, I'm thinking. But all right, let's switch it to the Sky now. So we're gonna do 3 miles in the Sky, and my goal with this is to work through race paces from a 3:30 marathon pace down to a sub 3 pace. So I'm gonna start off, if I can hold myself back a little bit, and I was ripping a little too hard in the Pro 4 out of the gate here, but my plan is to start off around an 8-minute pace, which would be roughly 3:30 marathon, and then work down to 7:30, and then a sub 3 pace on the last mile. And right away here, comparison between the Sky and the Pro 4. The Pro 4 so much wider. It feels a lot more stable, a lot more comfortable. The Sky just feels a little bit, I don't know, it's not a shoe that I'd immediately reach for if I wanted something to protect my feet. This feels like a fast racing weapon. The upper on the Pro 4 also feels a little bit longer. I'm not getting my toes crunched up against the end here. These are both 10.5 men's. You can see in the Sky, I'm about right here. And then the Pro 4, I'm about right here. So upper comfort and step-in feel definitely goes to the Pro 4. And another thing interesting about the Sky and the Edge versus Pro 4 and other racing shoes is that these guys with the 5mm drop, and I didn't completely notice this until today, they do feel a lot flatter, but comparing them to the Endorphin Pro right there, this feels like a much flatter shoe. It's not as tall, doesn't feel as tall up as the SC Elite V4, but that same sort of flat bottom where from the 5mm drop, it's a lower feeling. So Sky, 3 miles, working through the paces. We'll get the live insights from the GoPro. Let's do it. Hey, I'm glad I decided to bring out the Endorphin Pro first, because it makes these Edge, where I'm in the Sky right now, it makes this shoe feel so much less impressive at this 8-minute jogging pace. The Endorphin Pro feels bouncy, feels soft, it's got that rocker. This feels a little bit flat at that 3:30 to 4-hour marathon pace. Definitely would not be my choice. All right, let's see how we're doing when we get to mile 1 and if I can hit the right paces. So it's pretty wet out here and the grip on these is performing really well. A lot better than the Nova Blast or Super Blast. Almost getting to mile 1 here. At these paces, I feel that the narrowness of the platform is doing a little more harm than good. I think most of us would benefit from a little more width than this shoe offers. I also think the Edge, from what I remember yesterday, has a little bit more of that width in the midfoot area. So we'll see once we switch into that one. Oh, one more thing. I can feel a little bit of that midfoot arch poking up in this shoe. I didn't feel that yesterday in the Edge or the first time I ran in the Sky. But after being in the Pro 4, I can feel it for sure in this guy. Man, I feel like such a doofus running with a GoPro. Nice Japanese maple. Mile 1, 7:45. All right, for this one, I'm gonna target between 7:15 and 7:30. Nice garden. So this would be, I believe, about a 3:15 marathon pace that I'm running right now. And this is where I think the benefit of these shoes really starts to hit. So that low 3-hour range, between 3 hours and 3:30, that's where I would start to consider one of these Asics shoes. Here I feel like the lightweight, I'm starting to get some benefit from that, and the narrowness now helps keep the weight down versus just being a hindrance to stability at those slower paces. Man, I feel super out of breath doing this talking thing. I gotta practice this. They did a good job redoing this house here. It just sold for something crazy. It looks nice. Look at that white paint. Same thing as this one here. Oh, they got a Jeep too. Did you really do your house unless it has white paint? The wildflowers look nice though. Charlie will like that. Now, this is definitely not a shoe optimized for heel striking. It wants me to land up on my toes. And that's why I keep talking about the narrowness. It really feels like a narrow shoe out in the back. Not great for stability. $7.17. So second mile, $7.17. Started to feel good. Last mile here, $6.50 or $6.40 to 7 flat. So about a 3-hour marathon pace. Let's do it. Man, this shoe really feels like a triangle, like a piece of pizza at the front of it, where you get that little bit more width and then it sharply tapers, similar to the Vaporfly. That's the closest comparison I have for the shoe. Man, I'm trying to stay at 3-hour marathon pace, but the shoes want me to get down to my marathon pace. So I think for these, below 3 hours and faster, that's where most of you are going to be happy with these. Oh man. Exactly 6:50 on that last mile. So exactly sub 3 marathon pacing. All right guys, so that was our 3 miles in the sky. And these paces aren't physically hard for me to hit, but this is more of a mental workout than I thought, because doing this pacing is kind of hard. All right, 7:18 average. I think we were at about a 7:45, 7:30, and then a 6:50. No, 7:40, 7:15, and 6:50. All right, guys, so exact paces here. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. 7:45, 7:15, 6:50. And so these shoes, the Sky, felt optimal, felt best once I got down to that 7:15 pace range. Anything slower than that, and I would not even consider getting the Sky. There are just so many better options on the market for a 3:15 to plus or 3:30 plus marathon that I think are going to work a lot better for most people. And there are some exceptions to that, right? If you are an experienced marathoner, maybe a master's runner who's a little bit lighter on your feet, maybe running 3:30 to 3:45 marathon, I could see one of these shoes being a good choice for you. But for most of us out there, especially any bigger runners or runners who need more support, I mean, guys, $225. This is $25 less expensive than both of these shoes. And the Pro 4, for those of you not watching, for those of you who are just listening, I dropped the Pro 4 on the floor here. I know some of you guys just listened. So, Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, $225. Awesome option. Now, okay, we got both of the Edge and the Sky on feet. And again, like I mentioned yesterday, Edge, a little bit more of that rocker geometry I can feel. And this feels even flatter than the Sky here, and a little bit taller up. Now, Running Warehouse measured the stack height of these the same today, but I promised you guys last week, and I'll dig up the footage to see if I got it on camera, because I think I did the same thing where I was scrolling through the Running Warehouse website and saw 2 different stack numbers. I think they changed it, and I think the Edge is a little bit higher up. I'm going to do some sleuthing. Check the footage, man. We got the receipts. Anyway, I'm going to switch into both of these Edge here to see how they do. We're going to emulate these splits here, copy the splits to the best of our ability. So 745, 715, and then a 650 to see how these perform. And then I will do the full breakdown. We're gonna run the same course, of course. Same course, of course. 3 miles here. And we'll see what the difference is in my stride length and my cadence between these two shoes. I think the laces on the right shoe are shorter. Yeah, look at that. The laces on the right shoe are shorter. That is wild. That is not good QA. All right, guys, 3 miles. Let's do it. I think shirt's coming off too. It is a disgustingly muggy day. Yo! What up? Man, right away, the edge, like I said yesterday, feels a little bit wider in the midfoot, a little bit more stable, a little bit less hornet-like than the Sky. Super interesting. All right, I gotta focus on nailing these paces this time. So no talking until I have another update. All right, we're at almost the half mile point, and I had to check my pace because I thought I was going a little bit faster because these shoes feel pretty good. It feels like they have a little bit more natural bounce at slower paces than the Sky, and a little bit more of that roll. And of course, I can't take these both for 20-mile double days right now or 20-mile long runs. But the edge feels more cushioned, and it feels like a more comfortable option for time on feet. All right, came out a little hot on that one because I'm warmed up. 726 pace, but still, I think the edge is going to be a little bit better for slower paces. It felt a little bit better for me than the Sky. All right, mile 2, let's drop down to 715 pace, see how these feel. Yeah, I'm looking at my watch a ton because I'm trying to get these paces right, and this is such an unenjoyable way to run. This is why I don't train by heart rate. I just like to get out here and cruise. So with these guys, I just feel like I'm sinking into the foam more. And maybe that's the difference with these shoes. Because I run harder, I don't think the shoe is optimized for me, because it's designed to be a little bit better for people light on their feet. And that's exactly what I'm feeling right now, sinking into the foam more versus popping out. All right, 7:08. We were a little fast again because this is the second rep we're warmed up. But the biggest thing I noticed, I don't feel like I'm holding myself back as much in the edge. It feels more natural at these above 3-hour paces. So last mile here, drop it down to sub-3 marathon pace. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, even at this sub-3 marathon pace, edge feels a little bit more of a relaxed shoe. I don't feel that I'm digging in as much. It's bouncing me along. More underfoot comfort. Definitely the more comfortable shoe. 6:42. A little bit hot on all this, but we got it done. All right, our 3 miles in the edge are complete. We were a little hot on all those. Average 7:06 pace. Let's check the splits. So we were a little bit faster with the same heart rate. I don't know if that means we were more efficient or I was just a little bit more warmed up, but let's check this. So look, I didn't realize this, but it gives us our average cadence and our average stride length. So average cadence here, 170, stride length, 4.36, and the edge, I'll have to check for the Sky. And then laps here, 727, 709. Can you even see that? 643. So we were about 15 seconds per mile faster on the first, 6 seconds faster on the second, and 7 seconds faster on the third. That's what a nice warm-up will do for you. So the edge here, a little bit more cushioned. Feels like the sweet spot to land is farther back on it and just more stable and overall comfort than the Sky. But there's only one way to really see the differences of these guys. So I'm going to do 1 mile cool down in left foot Sky, right foot Edge. And let's see what happens with that. It's gonna bother me. My Strava is always gonna have the wrong mileage tracking on these guys, but whatever. So I'm really glad that I did this run test comparison this way, because this has exposed some real differences in the shoes that I did not feel running in them. Even running in them yesterday, 1 foot on each down the street and doing independent workouts. But doing this back to back has exposed, and sorry for the little smack there, guys, doing this back to back has exposed some real differences in underfoot feel and performance across the paces in these shoes. All right, guys, so left foot is the Sky, right foot is the Edge. 1 mile cool down. Let's do it. Oh, and I should mention, I am not going to bring the GoPro out for this one. I want to really focus, hone in on the differences between these two. Reevesy Cam. Reevesy Cam 1000. Let's take a look at what the Reevesy Cam is exploring. Alright, up here on the Daddy Cam, we got 1 mile average 7:11 pace. I think the first mile was a 7:20 pace, and then I dropped down to my marathon pace at the end here. And for most of that, these felt identical. What's up, dude? Alright, we'll do the breakdown in a minute. Spring cleaning. Hey, that looks fire. It looks like Vanity Fair. Sup, well home. Is that a black mold?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks mad good. Look at that chiaroscuro. What do you think? It's like those people have those Doberman statues.
Are you deciding between those two?
No, just for home decor. That's the Supwell Home approved way.
Yeah.
Min Hill Shoe Market.
Probably check on the baby, you know?
So Reevesy's getting into the GoPro over there, but as I was saying, these two shoes are nearly identical feeling, except the sweet spot of the Edge is a little farther back and more underfoot cushion and comfort. And the biggest difference, I wish I had a stride pod on both of my shoes. The biggest difference was that my ground contact time, when I sped up to my marathon pace down there at the end, felt just a touch shorter in the Sky here. That I was just a little bit more efficient, and whereas the Edge rolled me forward to my toes, it felt like it took a second more to do that, versus the Sky immediately popped me forward and I was barely touching that ground. That's why I keep comparing the shoe to the Vaporfly, right? It just, you float along, you glide along. With the Edge, I get a little bit more of that max cushion shoe feeling where I'm sinking in before I bounce out. A little bit more of a training shoe feeling shoe to me, where I think I would love this shoe for a long run with marathon pace, versus the Sky. Oh, come on, dude. Versus the Sky is more of that fast, aggressive shoe. But let's check the data. It is time to get nerdy. I also want to do some measurements on this shoe, see what's going on with the Reevesy Cam. Let's do it. It's showing that the carb load is starting from Family Dough. How many bagels do you think I could eat in a day? 5?
Yeah, I was gonna say 5.
5.
Like, could you?
Not a lot. Should I?
Or would you naturally if I didn't say anything?
I think 4 is probably my max.
I like 4.
Yeah. What's your max, dude? Like 2.5? Alright, Operation Find a Ruler is in full effect. Ruler. There's way too much stuff in here. I'm never going to be able to find it with my man check. All right, guys, lunch is cooking. Shout out to Charles. Let's do the wrap up outside on the beautiful table she brought out from the backyard. And look at this. These are mismatched. So you can see in the top, sky, edge. You cannot tell the difference from the top at all here. Wild. All right, edge, edge, sky, sky. There we go. And I got to bring out 2 more shoes because that's going to make this analysis a lot clearer. All right, guys, so we are out here on the front porch to do this comparison. And before we fully get into it, I wanted to show you a graphic that I saw on Instagram. Here it is. Oh, did it go away? All right, luckily I took a screenshot. So take a look at this. It was from an account called Running Peak. And this is how they broke out the differences between the Sky and the Paris. So they say Sky is for half marathon and marathon, or the Sky and the Edge. Sky is for half marathon and marathon. Edge is for shorter distances, 5K and 10K. And that's how these 2 shoes were described to me by the folks over at Charlotte Running Company as well, who heard from Asics that the Edge is going to be the less popular shoe. This isn't the shoe that they're pushing as much. This isn't the shoe that they're putting to the specialty retail stores. The Sky is the one that they think is going to work well for most people over the marathon distance because of how the plate is set up and the geometry, etc. However, this is a little bit of an art and a little bit of science, just like training itself. And by feel, today and yesterday and throughout all the runs I've done in these shoes, the Edge felt a little bit more like the comfortable shoe, a little bit more like that cushioned shoe that would give me more support and protection over the course of the marathon. It also feels a little bit like a wider shoe on the bottom. And so I want to let's do a width comparison here because for some reason this Edge is really feeling wider. Let's check. So measuring at the widest point of the midfoot here. Now this starts at 6, which is kind of weird, but it goes 6 to 15. So this is about 9 centimeters wide at the widest point of the forefoot, not the midfoot, and the Edge. And the Sky, let us see, basically identical. So I'm not sure why it is that I got a wider feeling in the Edge, but something about the shoe, and I think it's where they've placed the plate and where this curve is, makes it feel like the sweet spot for landing is a little bit wider in the midfoot here. And so by feel today, Edge, a little bit of a more cushioned shoe, doesn't encourage me to run as fast, whereas the Sky feels a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more Hornet-like, and that's why I brought out these 2 shoes here. Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 and the Nike Vaporfly 2. And so if you are a fan of the Vaporfly 1 or 2, I think you're really going to like the Sky here. Super similar vibe, except just a tiny bit more cushioned. And then with the Edge, if you look at this rocker geometry, it's almost identical. It mirrors what you get in the Saucony with the rolling. So Edge has more of that rolling feel. Sky has more of that fast compression feel where the ground contact time is a little bit quicker. And now, last thing I want to do to wrap this thing up today is to do a deep dive into the data and to see where we were more efficient. So let's take a look. First set here, we were in the Edge. No, we were in the Sky for the first set here. We were in this shoe right here, Sky. Now, average heart rate, 148. And I did feel that the heart rate tracking was accurate today. I see a little bit of a dip there. I'm not sure, but I think for the most part, we had accurate heart rate tracking. Let me make sure the brightness is turned up here. So I do trust the numbers we're getting here. So average heart rate, 148. Average pace, 718. And then second set here, average heart rate, 148. Average pace, 706. So we were 12 seconds per mile faster in the Edge with the same heart rate. And again, heart rate is pretty smooth. We see it bump up here and then down. I think this is mirroring the hills that we have actually. Yeah, take a look. Yep, the heart rate goes up on the elevation. Okay, so let's trust this heart rate data from today. So let's go back to the first set. And I really want to dial in on the cadence and stride length numbers that we're getting from Koros. This is probably not 100% accurate, but whatever. This is good for the purposes of this Hobby Jogger YouTube analysis. So, in the Edge here, no, I'm sorry. Try that again. In the sky. We were in the sky. We're talking about the sky. Stride length started off at a 4:04, then bumps up to a 4:23, then ends at a 4:46. Our cadence 170, 170, 172. So in the sky, that's super interesting. Our cadence stayed the same the whole time while the stride length increased. Let's check the edge. In the edge, let's see. Same exact thing, guys. Cadence 169, 169, 172. And then stride length 420, 433, 456. So this is pretty similar. Let's check those stride length numbers one more time. And I'm going to take a screenshot here so we can more easily flip between them. 420, 433, 456. And over here, we were 404, 423, 446. Yeah, so stride length is a little bit lower with the higher cadence in the sky. And then stride length was a little bit higher with just a tiny bit lower cadence in the edge. So these were nearly identical for me. I was nearly the same. All my running metrics were the same here. But my pace was a little bit faster. I was a little bit more efficient today in the edge, although that came on the second set here, so it probably had to do more with me being warmed up than it had to do with any mechanics efficiency. Okay, so enough with the data. I want to talk strictly in terms of feel, and we're going to move back to the steps to get the optimal lighting here for you guys. This is the Sky here. This is the one we used for that first set, and this is the shoe that feels the fastest to me, that I think if you are going for that all-out marathon PR, that all-out assault, and you want a fast, lightweight shoe, this is going to be probably the best option on the market, similar to the older Nike Vaporfly 2. And you can see neither of these shoes have super aggressive geometries. They're also pretty lightweight, minimal outsole rubber coverage, and they don't feel remarkable. They don't feel that amazing until you start running fast, and that's where the efficiency benefits of that lightweight and nice soft bouncy foam come in. Then this foam, FF Turbo Plus, is going to be a little bit less soft, a little bit bouncier though at those fast running paces, so can stand up to more force if you found the Vaporfly was too soft for you in the past. This is going to be an awesome choice. So this is the one I would take for sub 3 hour marathons. If you want something really aggressive feeling when you pick up the pace. Did not feel good for me at a slower than 7:10, 7:15 pace though. Now, for the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris, this is the guy that feels a lot more cushioned in the forefoot that I would take if I really wanted one of these shoes for a marathon. If I was dead set on getting one of these new pair of shoes and I was going to finish the marathon slower than a 3:15, 3:30, I think the Edge is going to be the shoe that works the best for most people. It just has more of this cushioned feel underneath it. And I know Asics is trying to set up these products in a certain way, and some are suggesting this is better for short distances. That's not how it feels to me. If you can, try to get both of these on your feet and see, because I think a lot of people running those 7:30, even 8-minute paces, if you really want one of these shoes, will feel best in the Edge. This is the shoe that felt a little bit more similar to the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. I still think Pro 3 or Pro 4 for that 3:30 and above marathon would be a superior shoe, but if you really wanted one of these shoes, that would be the Edge. And for some reason here, and let's take a look at the wear on the bottom, you can see and not necessarily the wear, but you can see where the dirty part ends, the dirtness ends, and where the clean foam is. Both of these seem to go as far up on the back. I do think with the Edge, it felt a little bit better for heel striking. This is the Edge here. I'm not sure why, as they have very similar widths out here on the back, but the Edge just felt a little bit more stable out in the heel than the Sky. And you can see again, super similar. But for me, the Edge, something about the geometry here, maybe it's where they've placed the plate, but the Edge just feels a little bit better for any relaxed paces slower than 7:20, 7:30 for me. So as of today, Wednesday, April 3rd, the black rubbered Edge here is going to be a little bit more comfortable. The red rubbered Sky is going to be a little bit faster. Sub 3 marathon PR. I would go for the Sky here. If that's what your goal is, that sub 3 marathon PR, I'd go for the Sky. If you're more in that 3:30 range, or you just want a little bit more of that underfoot comfort, I would go for the Edge. And I do think the way that they've set these up in terms of cadence and stride, it does make sense once you've run in them, because the Edge here, as I tried to run faster in the shoe, sometimes it could feel not necessarily that I was fighting against that foam, but the feeling like there was a lot of foam. Look at how much foam you get underneath the foot before you compress the plate. So it felt like I was sinking into the foam more here. So if you are lighter on your feet, you're floating, gliding along, that's going to be the Edge. And ironically, or not ironically, but it also feels a little bit more cushioned and supportive too. So might be a better choice if you're spending more time on your feet. So that's the breakdown for today. Again, if you are going to buy one of these shoes, make sure to do so through my links to Running Warehouse. That helps support the channel. I don't like that that's the only way you can support the channel right now, so we'll have some more stuff coming after the marathon. Stay tuned. As always, guys, I really appreciate you watching. I'm looking forward to getting some more miles in these soon, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. One more thing. Someone pointed this out yesterday I didn't notice it, but the yellow paint is peeling off on the bottom. I think this is, what is this? This is the Edge, and that yellow paint is peeling off. And we also have a slug there. That's disgusting. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully no slugs. I don't want no slugs. Slugs that I can get not from me. Ugh, dude. Actually, one last thing, I promise. If you had blindfolded me at the end for that cool down mile I did, or just didn't tell me that I had two different shoes on, one the Edge and one the Sky, I might not have been able to tell. So these are extremely close together, especially when I wasn't running at my marathon pace. When I was running at my marathon pace, that exposed more of the differences. But for those jogging paces, they felt very similar. So I think, again, it's going to be one of those things where unless you're going for an all-out PR, it might not, the efficiency metrics and that 2%, 3% difference that they might have isn't going to make a whole lot of difference. But once we get below that 3-hour range, or you're shaving 5% off your last PR, that's when it's going to make a difference. So that was actually the last thing, I think. Yeah, I'm going to rip the SD card out of the camera so I can't talk anymore.